The Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. gleamed under the morning sun as visitors walked reverently along the black granite wall. Among them was Thomas Kane, a 73-year-old man wearing a faded baseball cap with a simple patch that read, "Ghost Falcon." His weathered hands traced names on the wall, stopping at certain ones, his lips moving in silent conversation with men who'd never made it home. Before we continue, I want to know which country you're watching from right now. Drop your country's name in the comments below. Thomas had been standing at panel 23E for nearly 20 minutes, his finger resting on one particular name. Tears streamed down his face as he whispered to the wall. Security guard Derek Johnson, 24 and fresh to the memorial detail, watched him with growing suspicion. "Sir, you need to keep moving," Derek said, approaching with authority. "Other people want to see the memorial too." Thomas didn't turn around. "Just a moment, son. I'm almost done. You've had your moment. You've been standing here for 20 minutes. Derek's voice carried across the walkway. "This isn't your personal memorial." Thomas finally turned, his eyes red. "You're right. It's not personal. It's sacred." Each of these names was a person, a friend, a brother. Derek's eyes fell on Thomas's cap and he smirked. "Right, Ghost Falcon. Let me guess, you bought that at a surplus store. Stolen valor's illegal, old man." "I'm not impersonating anyone," Thomas said quietly. "I'm remembering them." "Sure you are." Derek crossed his arms. "I see people like you every week. Fakes wearing unit patches they never earned. That hat is probably—" "Derek." The sharp voice came from behind him. Senior Memorial Director Catherine Walsh stood there, her face pale. "Step away from Mr. Kane, now." "Ma'am, I'm just doing my job." "I said now." Catherine approached Thomas and came to attention, saluting. "Colonel Kane." "It's an honor, sir." Thomas returned the salute wearily. "At ease, Director Walsh, it's just Thomas now." The gathered crowd had grown larger. Derek stood frozen, his confidence evaporating. If you're feeling the tension right now, hit that like button because what happens next will leave everyone speechless. Catherine turned to address the crowd. "This man is Colonel Thomas Kane. His call sign was Ghost Falcon. If you know anything about Vietnam, about covert operations during that war, you know that name." An older veteran in the crowd gasped. "Ghost Falcon? I thought you were dead, sir." Thomas shook his head. "Just tired. And trying to honor the men who actually died." Catherine continued, her voice thick with emotion. "Ghost Falcon led a classified unit that operated behind enemy lines in Laos and Cambodia from 1968 to 1972. They conducted reconnaissance missions that saved thousands of American lives. Most of their missions are still classified 50 years later." She pointed to the wall. 43 men served under Ghost Falcon during those 4 years. 27 of them never came home. Their names are on this wall. Colonel Kane has visited this memorial every month for 40 years. He stands at each name. He tells them what's happened in the world since they died. Derek felt sick. Other visitors had gathered, some standing at attention. "I didn't know," Derek stammered. "Sir, I'm so sorry." "You thought I was a fake," Thomas said simply. "It's all right, son. But maybe next time ask questions before making accusations." A congressman in the crowd stepped forward. "Colonel Kane, my father served in Vietnam. He spoke of Ghost Falcon operations. He said you were a legend." Thomas's jaw tightened. "Legend. That's a word people use when they don't want to talk about reality. 27 boys who should have grown old. 27 families who got folded flags instead of wedding invitations. That's not legendary. That's tragic. But you saved so many others," Catherine said gently. "The intelligence your unit provided prevented ambushes, located POWs. The military estimates your mission saved over 3,000 American lives." "And cost 27, Thomas replied. "You tell me if Michael Reynolds thought it was fair when he bled out in my arms at 22 years old." The crowd was silent. Thomas turned back to the wall, his hand on a name. "I'm here because they can't be. Because I led them into the jungle and not all of them walked out. Because every day I'm alive is a day they're not. And I need them to know I haven't forgotten." An elderly woman pushed through the crowd. She was in her 70s, moving with purpose. She stopped in front of Thomas.
"Michael Reynolds was my son." Thomas went absolutely still.
"Mrs. Reynolds? You wrote to me. After he died, you told me he was brave, that he didn't suffer long, that you held him." Tears streamed down her face. I've come to this wall every year for 52 years. I've hoped to meet you, to thank you for bringing my boy home. Thomas's composure shattered. I'm so sorry. I tried to save him. I swear I tried. Mrs. Reynolds pulled him into an embrace. You gave me my son's last words. You told me he said he loved me. You gave me peace, Colonel Kane. You've carried guilt for 50 years that isn't yours to carry. Michael chose to serve. He chose to follow you. And because of your missions, my nephew came home alive from a battle your intelligence prevented. You saved my sister's son while losing my own. That's not failure. That's war. The memorial grounds were silent except for quiet weeping. Veterans in the crowd stood at attention. Derek had tears streaming down his face. Catherine addressed the crowd again. Ghost Falcon received the Medal of Honor in 1973 in a classified ceremony. He was offered command positions, a career that would have ended in the Pentagon. He turned it all down. He said he couldn't lead more men to their deaths. Thomas wiped his eyes. I came home. They didn't. That's all that matters. Mrs. Reynolds held his hand. Michael would want people to know. Not for glory, but so they understand the cost. So they know these names aren't just names. They're sons, brothers. Heroes who followed a leader who cared about them more than himself. Over the next hour, more families found Thomas, the father of Danny Chen, the sister of James Walker. Each one thanked him. Each one released him from guilt he'd carried like chains for half a century. Derek approached when the crowd had thinned. Sir, I don't have words for how sorry I am. I judged you. I disrespected your service and your loss. Thomas studied him for a long moment. You made a mistake, son. We all make mistakes. What matters is what you do after. Learn from this. Understand that every veteran carries stories you can't see. Some wear their service proudly. Others wear it quietly, like a weight that never lifts. Both deserve respect. I'll do better, sir. I promise. Good. Thomas extended his hand. Now help me finish what I came to do. I have 15 more names to visit. Derek spent the rest of his shift walking with Thomas, listening to stories about each name, learning about Michael, who wanted to be a teacher, Danny, who could fix any engine, Paul, who wrote poetry, James, who made everyone laugh. By the end, Derek understood. These weren't just names on a wall. They were lives cut short. Stories ended too soon. The memorial erected a small plaque the following month, in honor of Colonel Thomas Ghost Falcon Kane and the men who served under him. They walked in shadows so others could live in light. Thomas visits every month still, but now he's never alone. Veterans who learned his story come to walk with him. Families of the men on the wall seek him out for stories about their loved ones. And Derek, the security guard who once mocked his hat, now ensures Thomas has all the time he needs at the wall, standing respectfully nearby, learning names and stories he'll carry forward when Thomas can no longer make the journey. The Ghost Falcon hat still looks worn and faded, but now everyone at the memorial knows what it represents. Not stolen valor, but earned grief. Not fake pride, but real love for men who never got to grow old. Not a costume, but a daily reminder that coming home isn't the same as leaving war behind. If this story moved you, please subscribe to this channel. We share stories about real heroes, about the cost of freedom, about the weight veterans carry long after the war ends. Share this with someone who needs to understand that not all wounds are visible, that respect should be given before judgment, and that behind every veteran is a story of sacrifice most of us will never fully understand. Comment below and tell me, have you thanked a veteran today? Have you taken time to really listen to their story? Let's honor their service by remembering their sacrifice. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next story.